Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Marketing Phone Calls. My name is Jason Leister, on with my good friend Ricky Breslin. How's it going, Ricky?
Very good. Ready to do this thing today?
All right, today the topic of the day is shopping carts. I'm going to let Ricky go here and get started. Um, you know, uh, Shopping carts are obviously necessary to collect money online. You can make smart decisions, you can make dumb decisions. It's best to know what you're getting into before you jump in, so you make the right choice for you. So we're just going to jump in. Ricky, why don't you take it away?
Cool. So like a lot of people are always asking about shopping carts, so we just wanted to hammer it out today. And I want to tell people kind of the timeline I was on with mine. When I first started out, I started out with ecommercetemplates.com. And what you have basically two types of carts. You can do hosted, or you can, which basically means you pay somebody like One Shopping Cart or Infusionsoft to, basically do all the back end work and host it on their servers. Or you can buy an application and have your web guy integrate it and you maintain it and you get an SSL certificate and you go that route. Well, for the first 5 years of me being online, I did the self-hosting way. I bought the SSL certificate. I did all that. And for me personally, I hated it. It was always annoying. It was always something broke, something was out of place. I spent more money on a web guy than anything, just fixing problems and stuff. It was just so freaking annoying. So me personally, I wouldn't recommend it. So I've been using One Shopping Cart for 5 or 6 years, and it's amazing. There's some problems with it, but nothing crazy. I mean, there's some limitations. You are on their server, so you can't really chop it up like you want to chop it up or get too customized. But I save so much money in not only web people, but just time. And just tons of money saved in time. So I'm a huge proponent of One Shopping Cart. I've messed with other carts, and I've got to tell you, I had a really bad experience with Infusionsoft. I'm definitely not a talk bad about another company type of dude, but it's their sales process, their clunky software. I know you use them, Jason, but I'm just totally not a fan of Infusionsoft's software or the way they operate their business as far as spam complaints and just internal operations. It seems very disorganized and crazy there. And that's just my opinion. I don't want to go too deep or bash them. I know they try their best and they've got a business to run and everything, but for me personally, I would never use them. Did you want to jump in on that, Jason? I know you're using Infusionsoft. Like, what's your opinion on them?
Yeah, I mean, I've used them. I use them personally. Before then, I used them, a lot with clients. I mean, with any provider, you're gonna bump into imperfection. Ricky is the world's most detail-oriented person that I know when it comes to design. And obviously, when you're using a shopping cart that is not on your servers, you give up some of that control in exchange for the ease and convenience of not having to maintain it yourself. For me, I use Infusionsoft because it's a system that allows you to market and sell to people based on their behavior, which for me outweighs some of the drawbacks, that Ricky's mentioned. A lot of the other shopping carts that are out there, you end up making business decisions based on what the software can and cannot do, which I think isn't something I wanted to do.
Let me piggyback on that because it is annoying. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Aweber combined with One Shopping Cart and pasting these leads and customers together, and then people get two emails, and then they're frustrated, and then they're like, why am I on two lists? Anybody who does not have an all-in-one system deals with that drama. I deal with it, and I've been dealing with it for years. Is there a trade-off? Yes. Does Infusionsoft do a better job like you talked about? It's a million times better because everybody's a quote-unquote tag. So if Jason Leister comes into the funnel, we can move him around like a chess piece versus him being just in one big funnel and you're just blasting them. That's what I do love about Infusionsoft. Just me personally, I feel that when a company tries to do 74 things well, it ends up doing about 2 or 3 things really awesome, and the other stuff's very mediocre, which is what I find with Infusionsoft. I feel that they're struggling in so many areas, and frankly, I feel like, you know, an account can be shut down at any moment in time based on somebody in a cubicle with some bogus spam reports. I've heard of that. I know personally somebody that's happened to, and one of my big things was not putting my business in the hands of somebody with that much control in a cubicle, you know, where they can just shut you down. And I've heard of it happening more than once. And I know you like them, Jason, and I'm definitely not hating on the company. It's just a fact. I mean, they can do that. Hopefully they're fixing it. They look like with their recent design changes and where they're going in their business, that either they're trying to go public or really take over. But there's so much room for improvement, and I think they will improve it. I really do. I think that they're going to step up their game. I think they're going to probably, I would imagine, try to go public and really be the all-in-one solution. But I can tell you this, there is not one company on the internet right now that has a great all-in-one solution. They do terrible in a lot of areas. They try to piece it together and be everything to everybody. But for me, I just personally haven't found a better solution than Aweber. And I know MailChimp's a great company. We have iContact there. But these people have staffs and internal operations purely focused on email delivery. And you can tell. Great email delivery, great systems. One shopping cart, it's a cart. That's all they care about. That's all they think about. And they do it very well. So I don't know if you have anything to say about that, Jason, but I just know that when you spread out and try to be everything to everyone, it's just a lot of mediocre stuff. And if you check out Infusionsoft's forums, and I would recommend anybody do that before they purchase, go into their forums and look at the API forum, look at the pre-sales, look around, and the people that have been in it a while, like, literally give up. They get frustrated. Infusionsoft generally does things or makes changes to where the programmers are frustrated, and it's just not organized. And that's what really killed me, on top of some other sales types issues. I just don't think that they do business very well over there as far as the initial sales. Hopefully they've improved that, but it's very shaky, and I'm not going to sit here and tell my entire story because it's ugly, but that's kind of my take. I know it seems like I'm coming down hard on them. Let me say something. let me say something positive. I think that what they're trying to do is excellent. I think they do it good. I would give it a 6 or a 7 out of a 10. Like, it works. I think the genius in their system is being able to treat an individual as an individual and being able to move that person around like a chess piece and market more efficiently to that person. The problem I have is all the other stuff I talked about. But if they can iron those details out, the initial sales process on how they get people in, which seems to change via salesperson, the clunkiness, the communication before they roll out features, if they can work all that out internally at their company, I think it could be a great company and a great, cart / email service / the other 57 things they do. I think it could turn into something great. I'll let you hammer. I know I just rambled, but people need to know this. It's a life decision. You spend more time in your shopping cart and dealing with shopping cart issues as an internet business owner than almost anything you'll ever do. So this conversation is critical.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand, or to get clear for you on what your priorities are and where a shopping cart fits in your order of priorities for your business. Because I've gone through personally myself, and I've seen it happen with clients where, the bottom line is a shopping cart, for the most part, does not make or break a business. If you're not where you want to be, changing a shopping cart isn't going to put you there, most likely.
Yeah, it does nothing.
So, and I've gone through many times where either I thought that it would, and so wasted time, effort, expense. I got to switch everything, and now I'm riding high, but that doesn't really change anything. So understand that what a shopping cart is for and understand that it does not make or break your business. So yes, it's an important decision, but if people don't want what you have to sell, changing a shopping cart isn't going to change that. That said, there are a few solutions like Infusionsoft, which allow you, as Ricky said, to treat a person like a person. And I think that's the biggest decision, is how you want the infrastructure of your business to be built. There is great independence and stability that comes from not putting all your eggs in one basket. Like with all the annoyances that come with Ricky's setup, which is the AWeber, and then when you get a buyer, they have to be moved to a new list, but they have to opt in. Like all that kind of junk comes in exchange for, if one shopping cart, does something nutso one day, it doesn't take Ricky too long to move over to Ultra Cart or something else and replace them, and he's not out of business. If Infusionsoft wakes up and has a huge hiccup, anybody that's with them has a real problem, because for the most part, your whole marketing funnel is inextricably tied into their system, right? And so that's the trade-off. So there's going to be junk you can say about every company out there from personal experience or just, things that you can deduce from their sales material even. But it's not really black and white, basically. You have to know what your needs are. You have to know what you're trying to achieve. And then you have to make the best compromised decision for you. On the easy end of the spectrum, you have shopping carts like, it's called Get DPD. Get, D as in David, P as in Peter, D as in David.com. That's the world's simplest shopping cart I've ever found. I use it for ClickBank purchases. It allows you to send out encrypted PDF links for downloads of your products. Like, it is so simple. You can be up and running in no time, and it's only like $5 or $10 a month, right? And then on the other end of the spectrum, before you get to a completely customized build, which I would never recommend unless you have a reason for it, you've got things like Infusionsoft, which is basically a Porsche, kind of, and most people drive it like it's like an old clunker. They either don't have the resources to figure out how to make it do everything it can do, or they don't have the focus, or they don't have a business that requires it, and it's just overkill, and they end up using 5% of what they're paying for.
Jason, can you go into the resource? Here's the thing, what people don't understand. The resources you need, and I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about consultants / programmers who can move the Titanic that Infusionsoft is. Can you explain in reality what it takes to move that Titanic? When you sign up for Infusionsoft and that initial sales pitch, and once you get in the Titanic, can you talk about that ship and if you have zero technical background, which 99% of the people listening to this call do not, what it would take to customize, create, function, like to really get everything you can get out of that cart? You should really go into that for people.
Yeah, I think, and I'm going to stay out of the realm of you need somebody that can be a programmer, because you don't really need to unless you want to do very specific things. Like, there is a lot that someone with basic web design skills or access to them can do. The main issue with that thing is that, and they've made a lot of changes, but sometimes it's difficult to find what you want to do. But I think the biggest challenge with Infusionsoft and the carts like it, you can't really, it's more than a shopping cart, but
it is an all-in-one solution. It's an all-in-one solution.
It's all-in-one solution.
One of only few.
If you're getting started in your business, it's almost like you don't have a marketing funnel. So it's almost like a lot of people are lacking a need for something like that. And so, like, they just want to sell their ebook, or they just want to get their product out there and see if it works, or their service. So they don't have a 30-part, sequence. They don't have direct mail follow-up on the back end. They don't have a need for it because they haven't dreamed it, because really, except for the last few years, that kind of stuff hasn't been possible.
So let's hold on a minute. Let's stop right there and get more specific, because people want to know at the end of the day, should I get it? So here's my opinion. If you're a consultant, let's just say you're making $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 a year, You know, you've got 4 or 5 packages, you do some phone consults. Let's just say it's even like a part-time gig. You do not need it. It is purely, it's dumb. Just, you can use one of these other cheaper things, something simple. It's so overkill. When I think a company needs to move to Infusionsoft, if they ever felt they needed to, and I don't know your opinion on this, Jason. We don't pre-plan these calls. We just sit here and rap. But for full like use, I would recommend, companies with a minimum of 10, 20 products, multiple leads coming in. We've got to convert those leads to sales. We've got multiple follow-ups. When they buy, we've got to move them into another direction. So if they come in and they buy a $1,500 product, and then we move them to a seminar, or we move them to a paid consult or paid coaching. If you have these funnels and it's A, B, C, D, E, and it's pre-planned and you're very organized, Infusionsoft will help you. It is good for that. And as much as I hated on the company a little bit earlier as far as some technical stuff, it will work for that. Now, consulting, 2 or 3 products, if you still got a full-time job and you're just doing something on the side, it is overkill. Don't create the $300 to $500 expense. And that's just my opinion. I would not do that. I would do something that's cheaper, that gets the job done, and you can make work. What's your opinion on that, Jason?
Well, I think we should have prefaced this call with, no matter what the cart is or what the solution is out there that exists, you can find people doing millions of dollars with all of them.
Yep, that's true. I've seen it. Great crappy carts.
I've worked with people who were way over the $1 million mark using Aweber and hooking it into, it was like a Frankenstein mess, right?
Yeah.
That it really has little bearing on your success.
It really, you know what? You make a great point. Like, what we're talking about today is not some huge leveraged call. Like, wow, it's really not a game changer. Really, you could go pick out any card. It's going to be way more important. People focus on message to market match, quality marketing, good copywriting, good products, good follow-up. Those are what are going to be the drivers, but this is just a conduit. It helps.
I think the question you should ask yourself is, my business at a point where I have a good hunch or have some reason to believe that marketing to people as individuals, as opposed to marketing to them in a group, will positively affect the revenue and profit. So if you have one product, you're just getting started, there's no reason you can't segment. There's no reason that you can't go for a while with 2 segments, leads and buyers. When they become a lead, they go into one bucket. When they become a buyer, they go into another. That's what even some of the most successful people out there, that's as far as they get for whatever reason. So if you get to the point, though, where you want to market to John and you want to figure out what John is interested in, and you want to put offers and marketing material in front of John that are consistent with that, with his actions, then something like Aweber, cobbled with one shopping cart, you're going to run into barriers to doing that without making yourself crazy.
Actually, it's not a barrier. It's a big brick wall. It won't happen.
It's difficult.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
So is your business at a point where you will derive extra revenue and profit from marketing to individuals rather than these bigger groups of people, for example, buyers versus non-buyers? I think that's one question to ask yourself. Another question is, like Ricky said, do you want a $20 a month bill, to add it to your overhead? Or do you want a $250 a month or more? What's right for you? Like I said, I can think of examples of very successful businesses. It's literally worse than Frankenstein, their infrastructure, but they do it, and their sales numbers don't lie. So there is no right choice, and the choice is really going to affect your efficiency, I think, more than it's going to affect whether or not your business is successful.
Which is another reason, I mean, I highly recommend people start out, and most people don't even need the affiliate module in one shopping cart or some of the other features. And a lot of people don't know this, but start out with I think it's $69 a month. Just start with that. You'll save so much money in programming and all the bull crap that goes along with it. You can just, boom, you're in, you've got a cart, you can be online in 24 hours selling something. And that's what I recommend. I mean, I haven't recommended to a client, a friend, a business owner, anything. I have never recommended a self-hosted solution in 5 years. I just, and to be honest with you, I would recommend Infusionsoft to somebody if they had the technical know-how, resources, and, business profile that would require that. I would be like, well, it's kind of like the only game out there. I know a lot of people are doing the Office autopilot thing. I'm just, I don't know enough about Office autopilot. I believe that's what it's called, right, Jason?
Yeah, I've not used that personally either.
I mean, I've heard people hate it. I've heard people like, I mean, I don't have enough to sit here and judge it. But that's what I recommend. Have you recommended a self-hosted system to anybody, like buy the SSL cert? Have you even recommended that?
No, and I can't think of one client I've ever worked with.
Well, I know 2 or 3 personally that are using it right now.
I don't know.
Well, UltraCart would be one.
Yeah,
and I would UltraCart. They focus like on the cart, and you can chop their templates up and really get crazy with it, which is a cool thing. And UltraCart's very useful. If I was ever to go that route, which I mean I may one day, because UltraCart is so good and so simple, it could be useful. Now, if you have a membership website, which I do self-hosted on that. I'll buy an SSL cert because it's like recurring, and one shopping cart takes a quarter out of each transaction, which is pointless, especially if you think about it. If you have 1,000 members, why would you pay a $250 tax per month to have your members? That's insane. So pay $79 for a year SSL cert and go ahead and save yourself $3 or $4 grand. That's at 1,000. Imagine 4,000 or 5,000 members at $10 a month. That's something to think about. There are some cost analysis here.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, you have to never forget that, I mean, nothing happens until somebody sells something. So there is no best cart. There's the right one for you that's going to allow you to sell things in the most effective manner to the people that you're speaking with. Mm-hmm. And, that's the criteria that you have to go on to make a decision that's right for you. And once you make a decision, then I think your focus goes back to selling things because, like I said, it's your choice of shopping cart or marketing solution provider is not a genie in a bottle. It will not make a business where there is none.
No, and I wouldn't sit there and do a 7-day analysis over 23 hours on what's the absolute best cart. Well, that's why we do these phone calls. So let's get down to the nitty gritty before we get off this phone call. Jason, let's give a few scenarios. What are you going to say? Well, hold on. What are you going to say to the guy? Let's get some specifics here. What card are you going to recommend for the single entrepreneur who has a part-time or a full-time job, who has a great idea, who's written 2 books, and they need to get it online, but they're, just been analyzing too long and don't know where to go? What do you tell them to do?
If they're electronic products, I would use that the world's simplest shopping cart that I recommended earlier, Get DPD, GET, DPD.com. They interface with PayPal and a bunch of other payment gateways. You can be up in like no time. It's like $5 to $10 a month. Ridiculously simple and inexpensive. That's the extreme that I've personally had experience with. I think the next level for people with, like Ricky, you've got quite a few products that you sell. And so something like one shopping cart that is more focused on e-commerce or UltraCart. If you want to
go the self-hosted, yeah.
And then for the people that are a little more sophisticated and can draw a line between if I improve my marketing and tailor it to the individual, it's going to pay off. Then you get in places like Infusion and stuff like that.
And let's just be honest with Infusion. I would highly recommend they have, what do you think, a $2,000 to $6,000 budget if they want to implement to the fullest? Because you're looking at $100 an hour for a decent consultant to go in there and chop it up, create skins, set it up. I mean, if they don't have somebody do that, they're looking at literally hours, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm spoiled because I do all that myself, so it's hard for me to put myself in those shoes, but there are real obstacles if you're not technically minded to getting a system like Infusion up and running so it can sell your stuff.
Name 2 or 3 or 4 quote unquote real obstacles for the non-techie. Like I'm a techie and I love tech, but I actually don't do CSS, HTML5 coding. Like I don't go into that realm, so I have to pay for that. And most people do. So explain the realities of what that means. It's very important for people to know.
It depends how anal you are about design. I mean, there are plenty of entrepreneurs out there that could care less what their shopping cart page looks like. And so in a couple of hours, you could get an Infusion system going, meaning hook it up to your payment gateway, stuff like that. But it might look like hell, and so that's not something that you, Ricky, I know would settle for. And so if that's the case and you want, the shopping cart to match the template of your website, all that kind of stuff, then you're looking at getting someone involved. I mean, it's a little more than just getting someone involved that knows web design, because if they don't know Infusionsoft, then they don't know where to look to make the appropriate changes. So I guess just go into it knowing that whatever price you settle on with the sales representative is the beginning.
Key thing, which what you just said, the front end sales process, it's all negotiable. I don't know if they've tightened their stuff up, but it depends on if it's raining one day, the price is one way. If it's sunny, it's another. If the sales rep has a good or a bad day, or a quota, or a new baby, or from what I've seen in that company, everything's negotiable and it's a lot of craziness. So always know that.
Go in knowing what you want. If you go into UltraCart or One Shopping Cart knowing what you want, no one cares because they have their offerings and you choose one.
True.
So it is a very different scenario. That's exactly correct.
But it's still, after everything I've just said for that last half hour on Infusionsoft, I will say this. It is powerful. If you work it, it will work for you. But it's a beast. But if you get the beast moving and you get the Titanic's, moving and the propellers moving, and it's a long-term view and vision, just know that you're getting married to this piece of software, and leaving that's a lot different than leaving One Shopping Cart or whatever. It is just a different thing. Like like you're in bed for real with that.
Yeah, it's a different world. It's a different level of commitment, and that's why it's really smart for somebody who has the wherewithal or interest in building out a marketing funnel or a sales funnel or a back-end funnel, whatever, that really takes advantage of what they have there. Otherwise, you're paying for stuff that won't be of use to you, that you just don't need. So hopefully that's clear as mud.
Yeah, I think that's the most in-depth, longest shopping cart conversation I've ever been a part of. So, but we didn't actually go into too many different types of carts. What people can do is take what we've just said and kind of hammer it out themselves, self-hosted versus, them hosting it. Features and benefits, just know that if somebody offers, we do your email, we do your cart, we do this, we do that, just know that every one of those features or whatever generally takes a programmer, a staff member to maintain them, to keep them upgraded, so just be thinking of that quality does degrade a touch as we get bigger with less staff on these systems.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to only you can make the right decision. And if you go out online and start looking for information, there is an overwhelmingly large volume of people focusing on minutia like this. And I'm not sure why, except that it's just kind of like eye candy. Because at the end of the day, like I said before, you just got to sell stuff.
Yeah,
so,
I know a lot of people making great money off like the worst setups in the world, the ugliest, worst, like most unorganized setups ever. And why is that? Well, it's pretty simple. They have something people need or want. It's pretty simple. They got a product, people want it or need it. They don't care. They'll go through the ugliest shopping cart system setup. Then I know people with really beautiful setups and everything works really well, and they're selling one thing every 4 days.
Yeah.
And just is what it is. They haven't done the real work. So what we're talking about, like we said in the beginning, is like this is the 1% type stuff. Like it's smaller stuff, but still important, especially when you start doing some volume.
Yeah, I think the amount of time that you take to make this decision is probably directly proportional to the volume of sales that you are doing. So like if you're doing none, this decision should be done in a few hours.
Yeah, good point.
On the other hand, with clients that have entertained the idea of moving from Frankenstein to something like Infusion, that decision generally takes longer because there's a lot more to consider.
Yeah, I could easily see a week or two just going through everybody, calling the companies, talking to knowledgeable salespeople. There ain't nothing wrong. I mean, I'm not talking about 50 million hours. I'm just saying take a week or two to see your options, because it's such a big decision because you're in bed with these people. So take your time and find what's right for you. But Jason made the best point of the morning here we're talking, and that is don't spend 74 hours if you have an ebook. Like, get it online yesterday.
Yeah. Sweet. Anything else?
I think we hammered it all out. I mean, if there's questions, anybody can feel free to hit us up at marketingphonecalls.com. But other than that, nope, we're good, man.
All right. Sweet.
That's it.
We will see everybody next time. Take care.
Bye.